I just wanted to get the day over with and go down to Smoky's. Sneaking a look at my watch, I saw the time, 16:55. 5 minutes to go before the cemetery gates are closed for the day. Full dress was hot in the August sun. Oklahoma summertime was as bad as ever, and the heat and humidity at the same level, both too high. I saw the car pull into the drive, 69 or 70 model Cadillac DeVille, looked factory new. It pulled into the parking lot at a snail's pace. An old woman got out so slow I thought she was paralyzed. She had a cane and a sheaf of flowers, about 4 or 5 bunches as best I could tell. I couldn't help myself. The thought came unwanted and left a slightly bitter taste. She's going to spend an hour, and for this old soldier, my hip hurts like hell, and I'm ready to get out of here right now. But for this day, my duty was to assist anyone coming in. Kevin would lock the inn gate, and if I could hurry the old biddy along, we might make it to Smoky's in time. I broke post attention. My hip made gritty noises when I took the first step, and the pain went half a limp in Marine full-dress uniform, which had lost its razor crease about 30 minutes after I began the watch at the cemetery. I stopped in front of her halfway up the walk. She looked up at me with an old woman's squint. "Ma'am, may I assist you in any way?" She took long enough to answer. "Yes, son. Can you carry these flowers? I seem to be moving a tad slow these days." "My pleasure, ma'am." Well, it wasn't too much of a lie. She looked again. "Marine, where were you stationed?" "Vietnam, man. Ground pounder, 69 to 71. She looked at me closer. "Wounded in action, I see. Well done, Marine. I'll be as quick as I can." I lied a little bit bigger. "No hurry, ma'am." She smiled and winked at me. "Son, I'm 85 years old, and I can tell a lie from a long way off. Let's get this done. Might be the last time I can do this. My name's Joanne Weiserman, and I have a few Marines I'd like to see one more time." "Yes, ma'am, at your service." She headed for the World War I section. Stopping at a stone, she picked one of the flowers out of my arm and laid it on top of the stone. She murmured something I couldn't quite make out. The name on the marble was Donald S. Davidson, U.S. Marine Corps, France, 1918. She turned away and made a straight line for the World War II section, stopping at one stone. I saw a tear slowly tracking its way down her cheek. She put a bunch on a stone. The name was Stephen X. Davidson, U.S. Marine Corps, 1943. She went up the row a ways and laid another bunch on a stone. Stanley J. Weiserman, U.S. Marine Corps, 1944. She paused for a second. "2 more, son, and we'll be done." I almost didn't say anything, but "Yes, ma'am. Take your time." She looked confused. "Where's the Vietnam section, son? I seem to have lost my way." I pointed with my chin. "That way, ma'am." "Oh," she chuckled quietly. "Son, me and old age ain't too friendly." She headed down the walk I'd pointed at. She stopped at a couple of stones before she found the ones she wanted. She placed a bunch on Larry Weiserman, U.S. Marine Corps, 1968, and the last on Darrell Weiserman, U.S. Marine Corps, 1970. She stood there and murmured a few words I still couldn't make out. "Okay, son, I'm finished. Get me back to my car, and you can go home." "Yes, ma'am. If I may ask, were those your kinfolk?" She paused. "Yes. Donald Davidson was my father. Stephen was my uncle. Stanley was my husband. Larry and Darrell were our sons. All killed in action, all Marines." She stopped. Whether she had finished or couldn't finish, I don't know. She made her way to her car slowly and painfully. I waited for a polite distance to come between us and then double-timed it over to Kevin waiting by the car. "Get to the outgate quick. I have something I've got to do." Kevin started to say something but saw the look I gave him. He broke the rules to get us there down the service road. We beat her. She hadn't made it around the rotunda yet. "Kevin, stand at attention next to the gate post. Follow my lead." I humped it across the drive to the other post. When the Cadillac came puttering around from the hedges and began the short, straight traverse to the gate, I called in my best gunny's voice, "10 hut! Present harms!" I have to hand it to Kevin. He never blinked an eye. Full dress attention and a salute that would make his DI proud. She drove through that gate with 2 old, worn-out soldiers, giving her a send-off she deserved, for service rendered to her country, and for knowing duty, honor, and sacrifice. I'm not sure, but I think I saw a salute return from that Cadillac. Some people's lives can truly make a difference, however long or short their lives on earth. They give the gifts of kindness and of caring. They sow the seeds of friendship and self-worth. Some people's lives are beautiful examples of putting others first, and when they are gone, the lives of those they touched are so much richer, and the love they shared lives on and on. And the final inspection. The soldier stood and faced God, which must always come to pass. He hoped his shoes were shining just as brightly as his brass. Step forward now, you soldier. How shall I deal with you? Have you always turned the other cheek to my church? Have you been true? The soldier squared his shoulders and said, No, Lord, but I guess I ain't, because those of us who carry guns can't always be a saint. I've had to work most Sundays, and at times my talk was tough, and sometimes I've been violent because the world, it's awfully rough. But I never took a penny that wasn't mine to keep, though I worked a lot of overtime when the bills got just too steep. And I never passed a cry for help, though at times I shook with fear. And sometimes, God forgive me, I've wept unmanly tears. I know I don't deserve a place among the people here. They never wanted me around except to calm their fears. If you've a place for me here, Lord, it needn't be so grand. I never expected or had too much. But if you don't, I'll understand. There was a silence all around the throne where the saints had often trod, as the soldier waited quietly for his judgment from God. Step forward now, you soldier. You've borne your burdens well. Walk peacefully on heaven's streets. You've done your time in hell. So we end today with a thank you for those who served and took their final breath on the battlefield or in support of military operations, for those who fought to give our country its birth, to those who fought to keep our country together, to those who fought World War I and World War II, the Korean and Vietnam Wars, Persian Gulf, and now the global war on terror. Thank you. We thank those of you who took to the beaches, being shot at, parachuted in the darkness into the wrong locations, dropped off in the jungles under fire with people springing up from underground tunnels. We thank you for suffering the terror of evil so that we didn't have to. We thank you for having experiences in war that forever gave you the night sweats and night terrors so we wouldn't have them. We thank those mothers who gave birth to brave young men and women and said goodbye, only to have the doorbell ring and see the silhouette of 2 soldiers or Marines waiting for you to come answer. We thank the families, the young families. Wars are always fought by the young husbands, wives, and small children that were waiting at home for their life to continue, their loved one to return, only to have life like they knew it to be forever changed. We thank you for carrying on after battle, being examples in our communities for the next generation. I saw many vets yesterday watching their children or grandchildren graduate from Parris Island. Unbelievable. The families that just keep on giving, appreciate them. Say thank you. Thank you for my freedom, gentlemen. May you rest in the peace that you have provided for the rest of us. And may we never, never forget the freedom that you've given us. For it's not the politicians, it's not the reporters, it's not anyone else. It's the Constitution that you defend for us. And as we lay flags on graves, headstones this weekend and go to parades, it is the soldier that we remember. God bless all of you. Thank you so much for everything you've done for me and my family.